And we are officially live. Welcome everybody to the church website Bootcamp. My name is Matt.
And my name is Michael.
And we are really excited to chat with you and answer all of the questions you have regarding your church website and how to build one in ChurchTrac.
Yes.
Michael, thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I brought this guy in because he has built, how many websites has it been?
Probably a couple hundred now. So yeah, it's pretty insane.
You are our resident church website expert.
I am. Yes.
You should be the one in the captain's chair for this live stream, not me. The only reason I'm the one doing this is because I'm the one that does this always. So
yes.
We'll let you answer everybody's questions and offer your insights and your wisdom and your experience so that all these great people can really build something amazing for their church.
And I'm excited to show you guys what I know.
Yeah. So if you are watching this, please join us in the chat. If you're on a laptop or a desktop, there should be an icon on the right-hand side of the screen for chat. I think there's like a little orange bubble, or maybe I don't know what color it is. I don't remember. Orange or blue or something. Just click on that. Join us in the chat. Let me know your name, your church's name and location, and what your role is in the church so that we can get to know each other. I would love to hear from Peter and Magdalene and Anne, Deborah, Percy, Brooke, Tanika, Carrie, Mark. There's hundreds of you that joined, or at least that signed up. I would love to hear from all of you in the chat. So show up, share your name, let us know you're here. What we're gonna do is we're actually gonna have that chat open throughout this live stream so that you can ask questions as we go. Michael, I will both be monitoring the chat. We'll try to call out some questions and answers live. Michael may drop an answer into chat itself. Yes. But at the end, if we don't ever get to your question, don't despair. We'll have a Q&A time at the very end so that we can tackle your questions and make sure that you are taken care of by the end of this, and we give you whatever advice we possibly can. And now that that's out of the way, let's get into a few resources that I think you're going to really appreciate, that you can enjoy and use afterwards. We have a YouTube channel. Some of you may even be watching this. If you're actually watching this later after the fact, because we're doing this live right now, if you're watching this in the future, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date on all future things we do on YouTube and be on top of future live streams that we do. So go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Michael, if you don't mind, go ahead and drop a link into the YouTube channel into the chat.
I can do that.
Also, we have a Facebook group. We have a private Facebook group of other ChurchTrac users, other ministry leaders that are using ChurchTrac. We would love for you to join. It's a community of thousands of ministers around the world that would love to answer any questions you have about ChurchTrac or about ministry in general. So go ahead and request to join that group as well. All right, I almost jumped ahead. Why don't you tell these good people how to get support if they need it in the future?
Oh my goodness, yes. This is a great tool for you guys. So if you guys would go in ChurchTrac when you're logged in, there's a little orange help button at the top of your screen. You should be able to click that, and there you go, and click Ask Us a Question, and that will take you to our support page where we would love to answer any questions you have about Church Connect or on Church Connect unrelated things, so accounting, whatever it might be.
Anything at all. Obviously, we're focused on Church Connect today, but any questions you have about anything, if you need restaurant recommendations.
maybe not quite that.
Maybe not quite that. Well, we're just going to look on Google. You could do that too. But if you have any questions about ChurchTrac, reach out to the support team. We'll make sure that you're taken care of. Now that we've got all that preliminary stuff out of the way, let's dive in. Let's get into the thing that you came here for. What we're going to do today is I've got a few things that I want to cover. First, we're going to talk about your church website versus the app. That's actually the first thing we're going to cover, because those are two different platforms. And we have to cover that because in ChurchTrac, you get a feature called Church Connect, and that's both a website and an app. So we want to make sure we delineate between both of those platforms as you're designing things in Church Connect. Then we're going to talk about what every church website needs, just the fundamental basic things that we need to make sure all of our church websites have. And then also we'll cover actually building a website in ChurchTrac. We're going to do that from scratch. The account I have up right here is an account that I created this morning. It's fresh, it's hot off the press. It's got nothing on it. So we're going to start from scratch. That way you can see how easy and simple it is. And then at the end, we'll have some pro tips that will help you take your website from good to great, and we'll have a Q&A after that.
Certainly.
All right, Michael, are you ready?
I'm so ready. I'm so excited to teach these people what it looks like to use Church Connect.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here just because of all of your experience.
Yes.
So we're gonna get in deep to things. So first things first, let's talk about your church website versus your church app. There are some things that a website can do that an app can't do.
Right.
And this is important because over the past decade and a half, the focus has been on apps.
Yes.
We've just been all about having an app.
Right.
Even churches want to have an app. But it's been in some ways to the neglect of the website. And that's tragic because there are some things that your website can do for your church that your app just will never be able to do. The first being SEO. If you don't know what the letters SEO stand for, that's search engine optimization. Sounds like a super technical term. Michael, why don't you give a quick rundown of what that is?
Yeah, so like Matt said, search engine optimization, for example, Google, one of the major search engines out there that probably is what you're using right now to reach us.
Yeah, exactly.
To find information about ChurchTrac or watch our live stream. Typically, your website's going to be full of keywords like your church's name or the location of your church, or maybe even service times. And Google kind of parses through your website and grabs that information, and that's for the world to see. And in that information, based on that information, you'll be ranked in Google searches with a number, and that will be where you are in the list.
Yes. So the reason why it's important to think through search engine optimization is because your website can appear in a Google search, but your app can't. People are turning to Google to find a new church more and more every year.
Yes.
To the point where the majority of people, there's really two ways people find churches now, and that's word of mouth. Mm-hmm. That's never going away.
Yeah.
And Google. They either go on Google Search or Google Maps. But your search engine optimization affects both of those things, not just the search, but also in Maps.
Right.
So you need to think through what people are looking for, like people in your area are looking for when they are looking for a new church, and you can add content to the website that improves the likelihood that Google says, oh, this person's looking for this website has that, so I'm going to put this first in the search, which improves the chances that that person clicks on it, checks out the website, and pays a visit. So it's really important to improve your church's search engine your website's search engine optimization. You can't do that in an app. You can only do that in a website. And it's a really great opportunity to reach more people. Also, your website is your church's front door. It's where you leave your first impression. Most people will check out your church's website before they ever walk through the front door of your church, which means that your website is your front door today. So why is a website better at a first impression, though, than an app?
Yeah, so website's really going to give people an opportunity to see what you guys are about. And like Matt was saying, this is a first impression. People aren't typically going to go to the app store to look for your church. They're going to do a simple Google search for churches near me or whatever it might be. Maybe they saw your church on the side of the road and saw the church name and typed it in. That's a huge part of how people know that you even exist, let alone to learn more about who you guys are, what you're about, and what kind of church you are. So that's really the best part about the church website is people get information about your church and about what you guys do, events, and just information in general.
And we'll get into all of that as we talk about what a church website needs and how to build a website. We'll do the deep dive into those things. But yes, thank you. And then last but not least is outreach. Your church website is actually a really good opportunity for outreach to the community because your website is a billboard for your church. And it's a billboard that only comes at only the cost of whatever it takes to host that website, which with ChurchTrac, it's included in your subscription. So it's just bundled in with everything else. So apps are, just to kind of boil this down, apps are really, really great for people who are already in your community. And the reason why is because even though it's simple, it seems really simple for someone to go to an app store and just tap the download button. The random person is not going to download your church's app. Only the people who are in your church are going to be committed enough to your church to download your church's app. But a website is for people who are looking for a church, who aren't already part of your community. because it's more likely that they'll stumble across that than your app. So websites are your church's front door. They are where new people discover your church, and it can also be where members stay informed, though they're mostly going to be doing that through the app. Apps are like your church's living room, where your community connects deeper with each other. And if you have a strategy for both of these platforms, together these two things can build the body of Christ. They can build your body of Christ. So now let's dive into the basic things. These are the fundamental things that the vast majority of churches and ministries need on their website, or at least what most websites need to accomplish. So if you're not a church, if you're a ministry, if you're a nonprofit, this is still relevant to you. What is the number one thing, we've already hit on it some, that a website needs to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So oftentimes when somebody visits your website, you need to be able to give them information right away. Your first impression, and Matt already hit on this a little bit, first impression is almost the most important thing that you can give to someone, and that's really through above the fold. And go ahead, Matt.
Well, you're talking about above the fold, talking about like creating a good first impression. That's very abstract and vague.
Right.
So let's talk about like the really practical things about a church website and what we can do in a website that accomplishes a great first impression. So you just threw out the term above the fold.
Right.
That's an old term from the days of newspapers, but you can also apply that to a website. By above the fold, we're referring to the fact that when somebody first lands on your church's website, they're going to land on, in Church Connect, we call it the main page. You may know it as a landing page. They're going to land on the landing page. Above the fold is literally just everything that they see on the screen initially. Just the first, from the bottom of the screen up, whatever part of the website is revealed to them or expressed to them, that's above the fold. So what is above? Like what section is above the fold on a website?
Yeah, great question. So the above the fold is going to be your hero typically, and maybe some information below that depending on the size of the hero. But anything that's usually an image with some text on top of it and calls to action, and we're going to hit on that in a minute. But yeah.
So you've got he called it the hero section. It's also called the header section. It's usually this big, bold. A lot of times it's a photo with maybe some text on top of it, or a short little video or something like that, like a looping video. There's a lot of different things that you can add to the top mast or the above the fold of your website. But in Church Connect, we have a hero section or a header section, and we'll show you how to customize that. But there's also another like dynamic to a church's landing page or a main page, and then also their first impression. And that's, you told me about this. I had actually never heard of this term, the one scroll rule.
Yes, the one scroll rule. It's super important for a lot of churches, and they don't understand that they need to have information about who they are or calls to action that give people a reason to respond. So the one scroll rule is when they enter your website, your homepage, or your landing page, they need to have information that's readily available in one scroll, whether it be a swipe of the phone or a scroll of the mouse pad or your mouse. And that should give information, maybe your mission statement or something about your community. What do you guys offer to the people in your community, right? Or what do you offer in terms of groups? Or what are you guys about? That's something you need to portray to people in one scroll.
So literally the most, like the top of mind things, when a guest or a new person who doesn't know anything about your church, when they first land on your website, you need to put yourself in their shoes and ask yourself, what are the questions that they want answered by this website? And you need to have their most important questions answered either in the above the fold section or within one scroll of the finger or the mouse pad. So everything that they see on your website when they drag their finger from the bottom of their phone screen to the top, you need to have information or at least links to pages with that information. So it's service time. You already hit on it. Service times and locations, about us, what we believe, the group stuff, events, all that. So whatever you know is the most important stuff that people are looking for and trying to learn about your church, you need to just hand it to them on a silver platter. That's what the one scroll rule is all about. Another thing that a website, and you hit on this earlier when you and I were planning through this, There's another thing that a church website needs to, or not just a church website, any ministry's website needs to convey, and that's community.
Yes.
Community is obviously something that's felt and experienced, but it can also be portrayed on a website. So, like, why is it important to do that? And also, what are some practical steps that churches can take to do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So oftentimes when somebody visits your website, the things that they're going to notice first are the images. And that's something that me and Matt have talked about a ton just in our own conversation as I'm building out websites, and Matt's even built a couple here and there, which is really awesome. But we see oftentimes that people are using images that are kind of pixelated or grainy, or they're not even of their people.
Stock photos.
Yeah, stock photos, and that's the worst. Like
that's the absolute
goodness.
worst.
I can't tell you how many people go through using stock photos and just not replace them. They never go back and replace them. So that's really a big part of it. But all that to say, it wraps back together into community, right? What are you portraying to the people that are visiting your website for the first time, that are seeing your church for the first time? And if they're not seeing community, if they're not seeing what you guys are doing at your church, then they're not going to feel like they belong there.
Yeah. Or it's not that they're not going to feel like they don't belong there. They're just not going to see anything that they want to belong to.
That's right. Yeah. That's better.
Also, another important thing to share on a website is what you believe. There's not like one standard to this. This is something that you and I just discussed a little while ago. Yeah. There's not one hard standard for exactly how to go about sharing your church's beliefs and doctrine and what you're really all about.
Right.
But you do need to give people something. Something that you and I talked about just a little while ago was it frustrates me when I go to a website and all I get about what this church is here and is all about is just a little sentence on the landing page that's like, we're a church that loves Jesus and loves the community, and that's great. But that's like the bare minimum. That's whatever the bar is for what a church is. That's the bar, and you've just stepped over that. That's great, but I want to learn more about that. And anytime I've ever gone to a church website, I've wanted to find out what they believe. And there are so many church websites that don't have that at all. Even if you're not like this is something you said about yourself, so I'm gonna use your term. You're a theology nerd.
Yes.
But even if you're not, even if a person who's checking out your church is not in Michael's shoes, they're still curious.
Right.
They still want to know what they're getting themselves into if they pay your church a visit. So you need to share something. But we'll get into like how to add a beliefs page and stuff like that in a little bit.
Right.
And then the last thing to think through when it comes to a church website, this is something that I had to learn, and it's something that I see a lot of churches not doing very well, if I'm just being really frank, and that's calls to action. Churches either don't have a call to action on their website, or they're not strategic about them, and they have way too many on one page and they don't have any on another, or so what is a call to action and why is it important?
Yeah, so it's kind of in the phrase, right? Call to action. You're calling them to do something on your church website. You want them to respond. And so, for example, if you go to somebody's website, and on their hero or their header section, there will be maybe a couple of buttons that say connect with us or plan a visit. Those are examples of calls to action. And typically, those will take you maybe to a secondary page that offers information about how people can connect with your church, or have a form where people can respond and get connected with the pastor or just somebody in the community there that's willing to talk to you. And then on a plan a visit, maybe in a plan a visit button, information about your location or service times, and really it's going to be general information for the most part. But calls to action is how you want people to respond. To your website.
Yeah, so you have to think through. In a website, you have the ability to encourage certain behaviors, whether it be to connect with you, like submit a connection form, or plan a visit. You may have a plan a visit page on your site, or like to send the pastor an email or something, or whatever. There are there are different things that you can encourage someone to do on any given page of your site. You need to make a decision about what that is, and it'll depend on what the page is and like what the purpose of that page is. think through what you want people to do in response to the information that they just gained on that page, and then give them a button or a link or some next step that they can take. That's one of the best things that's like one of the ways that you can leverage your website, is to not just be a billboard for people to learn about your church, but also for them to see it and then take some sort of step. So we'll talk about adding those buttons and calls to action and all of that in just a little bit. So now that we've covered the talking head portion of this live stream, where we shared about the difference between a website and an app and how to think through the different strategy, and also just some fundamentals that most church websites and ministry websites need to do and have. Now let's actually put together a website. I know that there's been a few questions in the chat already. Somebody on our team has been answering them. I answered a couple as well in the chat. So Michael, as we're doing this, I'm going to rely on you to also watch the chat and either answer questions or call them out, and we'll tackle them as we go.
Wonderful.
But in ChurchTrac, whenever you are in your account, you just go to the Church Connect screen by selecting that Church Connect option on the menu on the left, and it'll take you to the cards page. This is the first thing you'll see when you start building your website. If you're doing this from scratch, like I'm demonstrating today, you'll see some like example cards. Go ahead and delete those. Those are just there as an example. They're not meant for you to actually use. Delete them so that you can build this and make it exactly what your church or ministry needs it to be. What I recommend you do is first go to the Connect Settings page at the top. Just select that tab in the toolbar. And then from here, there's a few things that you can add. Because one of the first things you need to do after you've cleared the cards tab or the card screen and deleted all those is you need to add your church's branding assets to your Church Connect page. So that means when you go to the Connect Settings page, the first thing you'll see is an option to customize the background. This is literally just the background color of the entire website and app, and also the button or accent color of the website and the Church Connect app. Go ahead and enter a light, very light shade of one of your church's brand colors, and then your accent color. So a lot of churches will have like some basic color palette and then some really bright color, neon something just that pops against the darker, more formal colors of their palette. Go ahead and put those two things here. My recommendation of like a light color and some accent color, it may not apply to you if you have some other brand palette. So you'll have to think through exactly what belongs there, but just make sure that as you add these colors, you keep in mind that the background color will affect the readability of your church's website. And then the accent color will affect how much those call to action buttons stand out.
Yeah.
Just how, because that'll, if you want it to pop, you need to pick a color that pops. And then the next thing to do after you've customized the colors there is go to the the Connect App Settings button. This gives you the option to upload your church's logo. And this will appear, I know we're talking about a website today. This is still important to talk about because this will add your church's logo to the Church Connect app. I even actually have a logo I can drag and drop here. There we go. So that's like adding your logo into the app. Once you've done that though, then go to the Page Setup tab. This is where you can customize the main page. Again, I said this earlier, you may know this as the landing page of your website. That's a very common, that term's been around for forever for websites. We call it the main page. So this is where you'll do the work of laying everything out, what your first impression will be. And your branding is really important. It's a really important dynamic in your first impression. So we're gonna work from top to bottom, and this is gonna be really quick. It's not gonna take forever. Just hover your mouse over any given section of the main page and you're able to do some further customization. So I'm going to edit the nav bar. I can change the background color for this nav bar so I can make it something more cohesive with my church's color palette. I can also set the nav bar height. Me personally, I like making it large. I don't like that thin band at the very top. I want it just bold.
Yes.
So I like to make it large. And then under the logo tab here, I can also drag and drop that same logo that I just dropped into the app version. So I can add this here as well. I need to make this lighter so that you can see that. There we go. So if I click close, it'll load. It may take a second. Oh, there we go. So there's the logo. There's the navigation bar. I also can, if I wanted to, this is something that'll come into play later, but under the links tab, I can also link to other pages and forums and other content in Church Connect. But we haven't built that yet. I just wanted to point that out. All right, so that's the branding. That's how you add all of that. Well, actually, one more thing you can do when it comes to branding is the footer. If I scroll down, I also have the ability to edit the footer. You can do some basic footer stuff, like just changing the background color, adding some links to your social pages and links to other content in your Church Connect, as well as add some like your contact information and all of that. But if you want, and you do want to do this, is you can use a custom footer. Just toggle that switch to the on position, then select the add a custom footer button, and you can go much further in customizing the content that's here. We'll talk about this in a little more depth a little bit later, but I just want to make you aware. So you can go ahead and edit the footer, add your church's branding. I think it was this one that I selected earlier. Select close, there we go. So now everything is much more cohesive and together. I've got the same color in the nav bar and in the footer. Whatever your church's, I'm just clicking colors and throwing some things together to demonstrate. Whatever your church's brand palette is, you need to inject that into your church's website. Now I'm going to throw this bit of advice to you. This isn't even a pro tip that I planned.
Yeah.
If you are building your main page and you're adding your church's brand palette, and that brand palette makes the website look really harsh, like it's a really hard shade on the eyes of yellow,
pink.
Or pink and just bright green and stuff like that. Either you need to pick a different color from your brand palette, or this is the sign that you need to redo your branding. Truly, like you need to make sure that your branding leaves a really good impression of your church's website, or of your church, and it's going to affect like that. Your branding is going to affect your church's website and its ability to make that good first impression. So that's just throwing that out there, just in case. I'm not calling anyone out, but if you do this and you feel like, whoa, that's hard to look at. That's a sign that maybe you need to rethink your church's branding.
Yeah, and there are a few options online too. If you just do a Google search on finding a color palette, I mean, it's really simple. Yeah, there's some good options for it.
I didn't even plan to show this, but there's a website called coolers.co. It's one of my favorite websites in all of the web.
Incredible.
Because you get a palette, a whole brand palette. I'll go ahead and accept cookies, close this. You just start the generator. Click on the start the generator button, and just tap your mouse, hit the space bar, and it just gives you some really awesome. Well, this is not awesome.
Yeah, don't use this on your website.
For a church website, but it'll give you palettes that are. This uses machine learning. It understands exactly what colors pair well together, and it'll give you a great palette. And it's free. You don't have to pay a penny for this. I love it. I'll just, if I'm not careful, I'll just hit that space bar forever. Waste so much time. All right, so that's adding your church's branding to the website. Now let's make our way through the rest of this main page and tackle how to customize the header or hero section. And not just the how-to, but let's think through good content to put here that's going to improve your church's SEO and your first impression.
Yes.
You can kill all these birds with one stone. So in Church Connect, on the page setup page, select the Add a Hero/Header section button, and our system will create a hero section and go ahead and inject a template, some text here. You can customize this just by clicking on any given section of this template and changing the text. However, there are two ways to take this much further and make it really, really professional. In the toolbar above this hero section, I'll zoom in so that you can see this. There is this Add Content button. If I select that, a drop-down menu appears where I can use a template. So if I select that, we have some incredible templates just already built in that you can use and inject into the header or hero section. So I'm just going to use this first one as an example. I think it looks great, personally. Yeah. I like it. So if I select OK, there. Now we have something that looks really clean, very modern, very simple though. That's actually something that we kind of need to think through, is just the simplicity, especially when it comes to the above the fold,
Yes.
is simplicity of information. You don't want a paragraph of text that people have to read.
Well, they won't read it.
They're
That's
not
the issue,
going to. Yeah, they're not going to read it. So it needs to be like something that they can just see and understand in literally a second. So we have the text here. It's something to think through and just to point out. When it comes to the hero section, this is going to be what boosts your SEO and leaves a really good first impression. Right here in this template, we have a really good example of both of those things. We have a just a very straightforward sentence. We seek to grow fully devoted, Spirit-empowered Christ followers. We would love to meet you and help you get connected with the body of Christ. Look, I mean, when it comes to adding building a header section or a hero section and creating that above the fold first impression, what we highly, highly recommend is that you and anybody else at your church that could be involved with this, think through what's a good way to convey what your church is in one sentence. Like, describe your church in one sentence. And it could be anything, like the fully devoted, Spirit-empowered Christ followers. It could be a family-friendly church in downtown Seattle. It could be a vibrant church in whatever, like a church in the country, whatever. Just give a very, very straightforward but still very simple description of what your church is right there in the header section. This boosts your SEO, your search engine optimization, because Google loves header sections. Google loves header sections of a website. It'll look there to understand what the rest of the website is all about. So by putting key information here, whenever somebody in your area searches online for a church, if Google takes all the data they have about that person, which is way more data than they ought to have,
yes,
but they know, oh, this is a parent of 2 young kids. They want a family-friendly church. So you put a term like that in your header, it'll feed your church to that person when they search on Google. That's just one example. And then we talked about calls to action.
Yes.
This template has one. And you can change, it doesn't have to be the connect with us call to action. It could be a plan a visit. It could be whatever. Whatever you want people to do, you can, in this template, change that button and change the text above it. But here is a very quick way to grab somebody's attention, convey something really crucial about your church, and encourage them to take the next step. All built into one thing.
Yeah, and I think sometimes something that people miss oftentimes is they don't have like a, what's the word for it? It's escaping me now. They don't have a quick message to put. I'm trying to think what's
an elevator pitch almost.
Yeah, essentially like an elevator pitch. It's super short, super easy to add to the header. And it doesn't have to be super long, just like 6 or 7 words maybe, just kind of explaining what you guys do. Yeah. I mean, we seek to we seek to grow fully devoted, Spirit-empowered Christ followers. It can be even shorter than that, just to convey what your church is about and what you want to get across. And that's something that Google will pick up on too.
Yes.
And put kind of in the search results underneath like the name of your church or the name of your church website. It's really cool.
Another thing to think, like, this is just another tip. Again, I didn't plan on this, but if you're at a loss for what to put there, I recommend you first turn to like your church's mission and vision statement. There's probably something there that you can use in that one sentence description, or at least it'll give you the inspiration you need to build that. So that's just another little tip thrown your way. Also, one other thing to think, actually there's 2 more things I want to point out in the header section. You can change the height and the background. Again, I like big and bold. We literally call it the superhero.
A little meme.
Yeah. There's extra large. There's all different sizes. Again, I like big and bold. But there's also this background option. So it doesn't have to be the black background you're seeing. You can, again, add your church's color palette to it. But more importantly, and what I recommend you do, is you find just the best photo you have of your people in worship or in some sort of gathering, maybe in the welcome area out at the front of the church, or just raising their hands in worship or something like that. Something that conveys what somebody is going to experience when they visit your church. Add that photo here, and it can be used as the background or the backdrop for that hero section. But for some of you watching, there's at least a few of you that I know are going to be really keen on this. let me zoom in on this toolbar above. There's this little keyboard icon. If you click on that, it opens up an editor window where you also get the code view. Some of you are going to get real excited about this. I know Michael does, because this is what he doesn't even, he's so far advanced, he doesn't even use the templates anymore.
I build my own templates, essentially.
He's got his own templates, but he's designed headers and heroes. I should tell you this. We offer a service where we will build your church's website in Church Connect. And this guy has done the vast majority of those website designs. That's where he's gotten all this experience. So he has, you can go into the header or hero section and fully customize if you know HTML code, you can design a header of your own, not just use the templates that we give you. So take it full advantage. If you know your way around HTML, take full advantage of that to make this exactly what you want it to be.
Yes.
All right, that was a lot for just one section.
It was.
But again,
we got to get a move on.
This is no, it's not just that we need to get it. It's worth it. This is the header.
Certainly.
This is the above the fold.
Yes.
The header section. When somebody goes to a church website, this is the first thing they see. So you need to spend, if you were to front load 50% of the work you do on your website just on the hero section of your church's website, it would be worth it.
I would agree.
Yes. Yeah. So don't hesitate to really stop and make sure that this is exactly the best it can possibly be. But let's go ahead and roll on through the rest of this website. There is body sections you can add. These are really, really good for the one scroll rule type content that you mentioned.
Right.
So the header section is that first impression. There may even be a body section that gets in there too, below the header section, depending on the screen and also how big you make that header.
Correct.
But there's other information that people are looking for when they're landing on a church's website, like let's just say service times and location. So you can just inject that into your Church Connect page by selecting the Add Content button, select Use a Template, and we have a template. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. Service times, use the selected template. Okay, there. And then from here, obviously, if you don't have a 9 a.m. Bible study, you can change that. Just select that text in the template, make whatever changes you need to here for what to convey to people that are just visiting your site. I always forget this, Michael. Always forget this. Whenever you're making any changes or edits in Church Connect, as you're adding sections and editing, our system won't display what you've done until you publish it. And there's a little toggle switch above the body section and header section of Church Connect to publish it. Just make sure that when you're done, you toggle that switch to the. I've done that before, where I've been building a website and then I go to the page itself to verify what I've done and nothing's there, and I go, I got to go back into Church Connect. Yeah. I got to turn that on and then go back into the website, refresh.
Don't forget to do that. It's a huge part of building your website.
We get questions from our community asking I did all this and where is it? And you got to toggle that on. You got to make sure it's turned on.
Yes.
So that's how to design your first impression, the header section and also a body section below that. And you can add other body sections that have links to what we believe and small groups that we have, and here's the youth ministry, and learn more about, learn about the staff or whatever, meet the staff, just stuff like that. You can have other sections that have buttons and calls to action that take people to wherever you want them to go or want them to learn about your church. But that's how to think through that first impression, the above the fold and the one scroll. You need to make sure that everybody gets the most important information about your church within seconds of first arriving on your church's main page. Another thing to think through on this main page is the footer. There's a really cool tip that you gave to me for it would boost the SEO of most churches if they just did this one simple thing.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, so based on some research that we've done, we found that Google really loves footers for some reason. I don't know why. And usually a big part of that is if you can add a map into your footer, which is not only visible on the homepage, but it's going to be visible when you create it here in ChurchTrac on every one of your pages. And so
because the footer appears across the entire website.
Correct. So that map, and your church name and your street address will pop up in that, typically in your search results, or Google will just find that information and move your website up to the top of that list, which is awesome.
Because Google, the secret is, and it's not really a secret, Google likes seeing Google products on websites, and will therefore, that improves your ranking in a Google search. It's no guarantee of anything, but Google's like, hey, thanks, I like that, and it boosts your ranking. But Michael, I don't know how to code. So I don't know how to put a map. I don't know how to put Google Maps in the footer.
Darn. Well, good thing for you,
am I out of luck?
We have a template that you can inject right into your footer section that has the map.
Perfect. So whenever, like I did earlier, I activated the use custom footer option. That gives me the option to, if I select add content in the toolbar, there's also templates for your footer. One thing to point out, I know I could scroll to find it, but instead of scrolling, there's these tabs across the top for different types of content. We have a footer one. If I scroll down, there's a footer that has a Google map just already in it. I can use the selected template, select OK, and there it just gave me a footer with a Google map, my church's name and address. That's really important.
So important.
Yeah, Google again loves the footer, and it's not just all about having a map in it. It wants to know, it wants to see like what the name of the business, the church is, and the address, and other contact info. But we made this really easy. Obviously, this map, this is the generic base thing that every church will see when they add this footer. That's not your church's address. All you have to do to change this is just click on the address in this middle section right below your church's name. Oops, let me zoom out. And change that. Just put your church's street address here, and it will change the map.
Yeah, absolutely. It's incredible. And obviously, what we're showing here is, you would want to go ahead and change the the text color, or maybe even the background color, to something darker.
Oh, yes.
Just so to give an idea.
Footer, oh, I see. Default footer text. Yeah, I should probably have done that earlier so you all could really see what I'm doing. There we go. That's a little bit easier to see. Okay. So yeah, you can change the background color. Again, I just threw a gray background. I'm just putting this together really fast. You obviously would put in your church's actual branding colors there, which would probably make the text stand out better than what this gray did. But yeah, you can change the background to a light color, have a dark color text, have a dark color background with a light color text. You get to pick that. And then again, before I forget, publish this to web. And also, you get the keyboard icon. This is, Michael is doing this here too. He's not even using the templates. He's not using the built-in templates in Church Connect. He's designing these himself in the code view to make it just take it even further and what it looks like and how great the website can look. But again, even when he does it himself, he is still making sure to add a map, right?
Yes, please.
Always a map. Always a map. It never hurts to have your Google map there.
It's super easy to do.
All right, so that's the footer section. The next thing to think through, now that we've got a website that has a nav bar that's branded, a hero section that's got a really great way to convey what the church is, and I know I didn't add a picture, but imagine a photo of the people worshiping and also some really important one-scroll info to the body. Now, there's this big empty section here in the page setup page. This is where your cards will display. In Church Connect, this is the approach that we've taken in church websites with ChurchTrac. A lot of the website is centered around what we call cards. Cards are buttons that you can add to the main page that take people to more content, maybe a secondary page or a form to fill out, or a link to another website like your social media pages, or a video to watch, or whatever. Whatever you need to add to your website, you can add it as a card. So let's dive into adding those secondary pages.
Let's do it.
So under the Cards tab, this is where you can add all of that content. And to do this, all you have to do is select the Add a Card button, and it's really simple. Just choose what kind of card you want to add, and what kind of card you add depends on what content you're adding. So let's throw together we mentioned a what we believe statement, or like a what we believe page. Let's go ahead and add that. So let's say like what we believe. I'm going to name this card. Really important to name it as you add it. Add this card, and you all are going to see, I'm going to move fast just to show you how easy this is. I'm going to add a design to this card so that when people see it, it really pops, it stands out, so that we know exactly what this card is for, what the purpose of it is. So what we believe, there we go. So now, anytime somebody sees that card, they know if I click or tap on it, I know exactly what I'm going to learn about this church.
Yes.
If I go to the page setup button, if I select that, it actually takes me back to the page setup screen that we were looking at just a moment ago, but now it's blank. Why is it blank, Michael?
Well, because it's created a new secondary page for you.
Yeah, this is a totally different page. This isn't, if I, in this drop-down menu, I could go back to the main page and make further edits again. But if I go back to what we believe, I can do the same process. I can share what we believe. Jesus is the answer. That's a great thing to have at the top of it. Yeah. Or if I wanted to, I could have a template that just says, the text, like what we believe. It just says what we believe for the header section.
Yes.
And then in the body section, you can, if you know your way around like ChatGPT, you could feed your church's belief statement and doctrinal statement into it, and then ask it for like an HTML code that includes all that information, and it'll actually give you the HTML code you need to just build something really professional looking and inject that into the code view. Or you can use this one section at a time and just be like, the Bible. Let's just use that as the header for this section. Done. And then I could type in the Bible is God's word, and go further into what that doctrine is for our church. And just repeat this process. Yes. Do it for every single major doctrine that we want to convey to a newcomer or somebody that's just visiting the website for the first time.
Correct, yeah. And I think another thing to note here, Matt, if you hover over the body section there, you'll see options there in the toolbar, and I think this is good to hit on. People will miss it. You're going to see section options that we have here for section padding, margin, border, and
background color.
Roundiness. Yeah. Roundiness. So you get these more, and we actually just added this into in a new update to Church Connect, which is awesome. So you have the opportunity to really optimize things the way, to the look that you want. And it's really, a good opportunity to do that here.
Yeah. So it's good. This is actually really good because it allows you to have a page with a lot of information and then like sections that break up that content.
Yes.
So you can have a section with a different background color than the rest of the page. Right. So it stands out, or at least breaks up the page into different sections.
Yep.
So that's the What We Believe page. I know I haven't gone through and added like a whole doctrinal statement. This isn't a real church. I'm not going to do that. You obviously know exactly what you need to add here, but I'm just demonstrating the steps that you take to do that. So go ahead and tackle that at your church, add a page, make sure that there's a What We Believe section there for people to learn more. If I go back to the cards tab, we could add like a plan a visit page. So if I add a card, let me clear this notification. I haven't created a URL for this because it's not a real church and I don't want to take a URL. Let's say, like what to expect or plan a visit. Yeah, we'll say plan a visit. So I think it's really important for every church and every ministry that like takes guests, takes newcomers, to have information that conveys exactly what that person can expect to see or experience when they first visit. So I've got an image that I've created for this as well. There it is, plan a visit, return to card setup. Again, I can go to the page setup. One thing to point out that we haven't even hit on yet, just because this is also a new feature in Church Connect, you can add cards to secondary pages. So like we're adding cards right now that will appear on the main page of the church's website. But you can add pages and then display cards on those pages as well. And you have full control over who sees these cards. That's what the visibility tab here at the top covers. Yes. You can decide if this card only appears on the website version of Church Connect, or only appears in the native app on somebody's smartphone, or appears across both platforms. There's also the option to say that I want this card to display for everybody, no matter who's viewing it, or only for people at my church who have created an account in Church Connect and have logged in. So you can restrict this to like be a members only thing, or you could say I want only people who are not logged into an account. So you can make this card focused on guests and non-members. So you have the full control over that. And if you choose the show only when members are logged in, you can even choose which people at your church are able to view this. So not everybody at your church sees this card. You can have only certain groups and certain people see it. That way, when your members are accessing the website or the app, they're not seeing an experience that's cluttered with information that's not relevant to them. It can be tailored specific to their, like how they participate at your church and what they're up to. So if I go back to setup, I can go to the page setup page again, add another hero section, and add a body section that conveys everything that a person needs to know about what it's like at this church. Something that I'm going to point out here, though, I'm not going to go through the header section and body section again because you already know exactly what that entails. But one thing to point out that is really, really critical to search engine optimization is this settings cogwheel in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Every page has this. Go ahead and select that. You can customize part of the URL for this page. So I could have like plan a visit added to this. I think I have to have dashes. Yeah, plan a dash visit. So I can have the purpose, like the name of this page in the URL as well. Helps with search engine optimization. Yes. I can also give this a page title and page description. Only like search engines are the only things that will see this. And it's really critical for, again, boosting your ranking in a search engine. So if you know anything about search engine optimization, make sure to click that settings cogwheel in the top right-hand corner and add this information here just to boost your ranking in Google or whatever search engine people are using. So that's adding a plan a visit page and also customizing a page's URL and description to improve search engine optimization. Another thing I'm going to show you real quick is something like, well, I'm going to add a prayer request form. I think it would be good to show adding a form card. Yeah. If I select add a card and then select the form card option, I'm going to go ahead and say I want to add a prayer request form. So I'll say prayer request, add this card. I'm going to edit this card design again. I've also got an image I've created for this, so I'll just drag and drop that over. There we go. Prayer request. That way, again, these images just make it really obvious what content is on the other side of that card when someone clicks or taps on it. Right. They know exactly what they're going to see or do. This is another call to action. You may have a prayer ministry at your church, and this is a great way to collect those prayer requests. You probably have physical forms, but you can also have a digital form that does the same thing. Yes. So I've got the setup and visibility option here as well. I can edit the form questions, but under the form tab, I can also choose which user at this church receives an email notification as that form gets filled out, so they can stay on. The leader of the prayer ministry could receive email notifications in real time as people fill that out. I want this to appear everywhere to everyone, so I'm going to edit the form questions. I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing this just because, again, this is just for demonstration purposes. But just to give you a demonstration, let's say I want to just ask for their prayer request. Add this field. Oh, I'm going to make it a paragraph field so they have enough room to type. And then also, this is important. I'm going to demonstrate this just for how critical this is. I'm going to ask, do we have your permission to share your request with the prayer team? Oops, I didn't need to learn how to spell. I need to learn how to type. So it's really important to get people's consent to share their private information like that. So I can add a drop-down list. I can ask them, it's just a simple yes or no question. So I'll add those options for them to choose. I'm just throwing this together really fast to give you a demonstration. If you have questions about this, you can reach out to the support team, and we would love. We also have videos that we've recorded. We have articles in our user guide that illustrate all of this in even greater depth. Actually, just yesterday, it was Monday, I sat down in this studio and recorded videos on creating form cards and page cards. So those will be up on the YouTube channel and in the user guide in the very near future. Those go into much greater depth than what I've just quickly run through. I'm just trying to build a whole website today, not go one card at a time. So definitely check those out if you want to learn more and have questions about some of the things that I've just shown you in adding these cards. All right, but we've created secondary pages. We've created a form for people to fill out that could be like a call to action, whether it be a prayer request form or a Connect with Us form. You can have those forms built in Church Connect and it'll appear as a button on the main page or perhaps a secondary page. But what's really cool, one thing I forgot to mention, whenever you create one of these cards, you have a URL and a QR code for each one of them. So you can also take this link and share it elsewhere just to make it really easy to direct people to this thing. We've created a website from scratch. We've added our branding. We've done the hero and header section. Yep. We've added one scroll information in the body. We've added secondary pages. We've added forms. That's how you build a website in ChurchTrac. This guy right here, if you have questions, he's the expert. Ask them here in the chat. We'll tackle that in the Q&A here in just a moment. But we'll also, if you have questions in the future, send us a support ticket. And this guy is either going to answer the ticket or the support agent that is receiving the ticket will go to him.
Come to me with the question.
Yeah, and just make sure, this is right? And he'll be like, yeah. So he's going to be at least behind the answers you get whenever you send us a ticket regarding our your Church Connect website.
Yeah.
So don't hesitate to reach out to us. Before we get into the Q&A though, I got two more things for all of you. I've got a quick plug and some pro tips. The plug is for a platform called Canva. I just personally, this isn't like a ChurchTrac thing. I don't think Canva even knows ChurchTrac exists for all I know. I personally recommend that your church uses a program called Canva. It's kind of like Photoshop, and it's a platform that allows you to create professional looking visual media, whether it be images for your cards or social media posts or even videos for like your announcements and stuff like that. Just anything, flyers for an upcoming event. You can design all of that in Canva. They have templates that make that process extremely easy, but the best part about Canva, and the reason why I recommend it to churches, is Canva gives their paid subscription to nonprofits for free. Some of you watching this right now are paying for a Canva subscription. You don't need to do that. If your organization is a nonprofit, you don't need to do that. Reach out to Canva, let them know you're a nonprofit, and they'll let you use their paid subscription for free so that you have full access to their entire suite of tools at no cost to your ministry.
Yes.
Use that money for real ministry. Use that money to build the body of Christ. That's what we love to see. So definitely check out Canva.
Matt, I think we should definitely hit on the secondary card pages. And this is a new feature, and I think it may be great for them to see.
Oh, just the cards on secondary pages?
I mean,
okay.
I think it would be awesome for them to see really quickly,
You're
just
right.
because it's a new feature that we've implemented into ChurchTrac.
Thank you, because I mentioned it, but I didn't show it.
Yes.
So thank you very much. So just to like really drive this home, whenever you are adding because what you're seeing right now, these three cards, these are the cards that will appear on the main page of this church's website. And I'll show you what I mean. So if I go to this church's Church Connect page, and I didn't publish this to the web. Look at me, look at me. I didn't publish that header section to the web. This is this church's website. There's the hero section, there's the navigation bar, there's the cards. These cards are going to display in your website, but you can also add cards to your secondary pages, not just have it display only on the main landing page of your website. So if I go to this What We Believe card, I have the option to edit cards for this page. So this opens up another card editor, just like what we looked at a moment ago, but now it's blank. And that's because now it's displaying the cards that have been added to this What We Believe page. I can add another card here. It's the same exact process. But what I'm going to do when I add these cards, it's going to add this card and it's only going to display on that secondary page. It's not going to appear on the main landing page. So this allows you to add more and more content to your church's website, but not have this long card section that has so many different cards or buttons for people to click on that it just all becomes noise.
Right.
You can have a card be a call to action. If you have like a What We Believe page, you can make sure that there is a card there that, maybe like is a connection card. So you can add a form card to that secondary page that gathers people's information to connect with the church more. Because that would be relevant on a What We Believe page. Because if somebody sees that page and likes what they see, that's a great next step to take.
Boom, they can respond to that.
Yeah, they can respond to what they just learned about the church, and then the church leaders can respond to that person and connect with them and invite them into church. So that's a way to be strategic about this, and also to add more content to the website, but also think through where to put that content and how to spread that out across the different pages of your site. Now let's go ahead and get into the pro tips though. Yeah. So we have a few pro tips. These are just kind of like what I sprinkled in earlier. These are things that if you implement them, or if you just have them in the back of your mind as you're building your website, it can help take your website from good to great. So pro tip number 1 is to have 6 cards on your main page in Church Connect. The reason why is because having 6 cards gives you something really nice and symmetrical. It just looks really clean, very smooth, and easy for people to grasp when they land on your page. So 6 cards.
6 cards. So really the reason why we emphasize the use of 6 cards is 1, so that it keeps the layout consistent. So you'll always have either 3 by 2, or on a medium-sized page, 2 by 3, and then on your smallest page, which may be your phone, we'll just have 1 column of cards. So it really keeps things looking clean and fresh, as I guess the young kids say. But so it just looks good. It looks symmetrical, and and number 2, it keeps people's minds from getting this information overload. So they'll see so many cards and not know what to do or how to respond. So keep it simple, and just give them a simple way to respond, or find more information, about what your church believes, or to connect, or submit a prayer request.
Pro tip number 2, this is something that you hit really hard all the time.
Yes.
And that is to use photos of your people, not stock photos or pictures of what? The church building.
Yes, the church building. It looks so cold. It's painful when I open up a church website and I'm like trying to figure out do they have pictures of their people? And unfortunately they don't. And I wish churches would, you don't even have to hire someone. Just have somebody in your church members, just take pictures, take high quality pictures with your iPhone or an Android, I guess, if you have one. I know Matt does. But get pictures of your people doing things at your church events, even a Sunday service in the morning. Have them get good images that you can use and put into your website. Now, that doesn't mean you can't use stock photos as placeholders as you're building your website, but we highly suggest, and we really think it's necessary for you guys to use high quality images that you can get.
Yeah, so just to kind of drive that home, one thing that we recommend is that the best way to leave a really good first impression for somebody, especially in that hero section, don't use a picture of your church building. We see it all the time. But that doesn't convey anything about your church other than what the building looks like. But most people know what that looks like. They've driven by it already. So most people, when they go to your website, they want to learn what it's going to be like if they join the church. So share photos of your worship, or your welcome area, or your small groups, whatever. Just something that helps people understand what the church is actually like, not what it looks like. And don't ever use stock photos. Just don't. People know that it's fake. I'm telling you, people can tell that that's not a real photo of your church. And that leaves, at least at the subconscious level, a bad impression. So don't use stock photos. If you have to use a stock photo, that's your indication that you need to go take a photo and have a real photo of your people. Pro tip number 3, make sure to optimize, and we talked about this already, make sure to optimize your header section and your site description for search. Just throw in that header section and in the site description, throw in a little blurb like, we're a family-friendly church in Springfield, the name of your town or something like that. Just something really simple and direct that conveys what your church is like. It's beneficial to both people who are visiting the website and search engines. It helps both of those things. And those 2 things are crucial to leveraging your website and making it something that actually benefits your ministry. Number 4, we've already hit on this, use a Google map in your footer. It's just one simple thing you can do that really boosts your visibility in a Google search. So it's not gonna, there's no downsides to it. It's all upside. Number 5, combine this with the Church Connect app for the best of both worlds. So have a strategy. Don't just add content and have it display on both, because it'll make that platform relevant to one group but not another. Your app is for your people. Your website is for the community, for the broader community outside the church. So think through what you're adding to the website or as a card and decide, is this relevant to my members or is it relevant to the non-members, the people outside the church? Just make sure it only displays where that group is going to encounter it. And then number 6, use Canva. That's going to make it so easy to add great looking media and visual content to your website.
Yeah, and I use Canva all the time as I'm building these websites out, and it makes it so incredibly easy. A Canva Pro account is huge. So like Matt said earlier, go and apply for that free option that they offer to nonprofits, I believe. And another note on those card covers that you can create in Canva, those can really be any size that you want. So, if you're doing a 3x2 and have 6 cards, I mean, they can be different sizes, but typically what I go for is like a 1:1 aspect ratio. So you can really base those images
so
as you're creating them in Canva.
Square. That's what that 1:1 means.
So it'd be 1:1 aspect ratio or 16:9. But if you're going for something sleek, make them all the same aspect ratio, or you can mix it up, but that's really up to your discretion, right? So find a way to make that look good if you're not going to use 6 cards, but just keep that in mind as you're going through and using Canva to create these things. But Canva is a really great option.
Yeah. And then one last tip is as you're building your site, go to the page setup page in ChurchTrac, go to page setup, and then open up your church's website just by clicking that little arrow next to the URL, and have your page up as you're adding content.
Yes.
That way you can go back to the page, refresh the page, just see what it looks like, and verify that what you're doing actually looks good. You do need to make sure it looks good, it flows, it has the right information. You can catch mistakes that way before you make it public. So that's just a little tip. Just have 2 tabs open, one with the editor and one with the website, so you can verify the work you're doing.
And make sure your content is published. That's a huge
Yes, make sure you toggle the switch to
to
publish it, like I didn't do. And I even said I forget to do that. And I even did it right here live in front of all of these people. It happens. It happens to the best of us. Okay, so those are the pro tips, and that's the content that we had prepared.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and make sure that all of your questions are answered, though. I know we've had people in the chat answering questions. We even called out a question or two. Let's get into the actual Q&A, though. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm actually going to activate the Q&A mode, because I know we have so many people in here asking questions. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to activate what's called the Q&A mode. What this will do is it now opens up a different menu in Vimeo for you to submit questions. And what's cool about this is as you submit a question, people can vote on it. So if you are looking through all the other questions that people have asked and you have the same question as somebody else, you can just like it or upvote it, and it pushes it higher for us to see. So it makes it more likely that we'll read it. So go ahead, if there were any questions that we didn't tackle in the chat, copy and paste that here. If you've been holding on to a question, type that into the Q&A so that we can tackle that. As you're copying and pasting or typing, I just want to remind everybody, we have a YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search ChurchTrac. It's the very first thing you'll see. We would love for you to subscribe to stay up to date on future live streams that we do, like this one, and all the other content. We have lots of how-to videos and instructions for how to get the most out of your ChurchTrac account. It's an incredible resource. I know I shouldn't say I make a lot of those videos, so I probably shouldn't be saying it like that.
Job, Matt, so.
Okay, but it's going to help you. I promise. There's so much information there.
Yeah.
Also, we have a Facebook community of other ChurchTrac users. Whether you're a pastor, a ministry leader, or you just work in the nonprofit space and you're using ChurchTrac, we would love for you to be a part of this community so that other people can answer your questions, you can help others as well, you all can find inspiration. And we even see people asking questions there that have nothing to do with ChurchTrac, just ministry in general.
Yes.
Staying
connected with the body of Christ.
Yes.
Right.
It's a great way to stay connected with people who are in your shoes, doing the same things you do, so that you can get the inspiration and answers you're looking for. So let's go ahead and tackle some questions here. I see Katie. She asked, is there a limit of links that can be added into the nav bar? I added 4 links and then nav bar stopped responding. It didn't stop responding, Katie. That's the limit. You can only add 4 links in the nav bar, and I'm pretty sure the same is true for the footer as well.
Footer, you can add as many as you'd like. So,
really?
Yeah, that's a great option. So it's a good kind of filler space, I guess, for calls to action or for links that you want to add. But really, what we do is we limit the amount of options for links in your nav bar because we don't want people to be overwhelmed, and it really just makes it easier for you to add 4 calls to action as soon as people enter the website, and then this is really what the cards are for. Our idea is we want people to go through that one scroll, see what your church is about, and then also have options in your cards to go to separate pages or go to different links to go through your page. So that really kind of causes people to engage with your website more. And that's really the idea behind it. But you really don't want to overwhelm people with 30 different, Matt, when you go to a church website and they click on one of the nav bar options and they get 30 links coming down in a column. They're like so overwhelmed. And that happens to me. Like I can't find what I'm looking for because there are just so many options. So really that's what the cards are for. And they portray that really well. And I would say in Church Connect.
So one of our viewers, Cry Chi, I hope I'm saying that right, they asked, is there a way to track visits to websites? You know more about that, like Google Analytics?
Yeah, what was it?
Is there a way to track visits to the website?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So actually, that's a great point. I'm glad that you asked that. So there is an option, I believe, in Connect settings that you can add a key in there from Google for, I believe, Google Business or Google Analytics is what it is. Google Analytics, and that will actually track the visits you have to your page. I don't remember exactly. I'm not too familiar with the actual application of it, but I do know that we've implemented some Google Analytics there. So take a look. I believe we have a user guide on that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So we can link that in the chat. We can have someone link that in the chat, and that'll give you some more information on how to go through it.
So Anyat Luna, again, I hope I'm saying that right, asked, are you planning to add a prayer wall page, please? I saw your question in the chat earlier, especially there was something it was something like along the lines of you wondered if there was a way for visitors to that page to indicate that they have prayed for that request. There's not a way for people to have direct interaction with something like that currently, but you can add a page card. You can add a page card to Church Connect and then share prayer requests there and updates. You would just have to make sure that you're updating that page with any new requests or any answers to those prayers, but you can have that in Church Connect. But if you ever have an idea like that, Anyat, whenever you're in your ChurchTrac account, I just want to show this to everybody watching. At the bottom of the screen, no matter what screen or page you're looking at, there's always this feedback button. I'm going to zoom in just to make sure, because it's so small, that you all can see that. There's this feedback button in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. We read every single submission that people give to us through that feedback channel. It actually gets sent to a channel that literally everybody in the company has access to, so we all read every single one of them, I promise. The reason I make that promise is because I worked at a factory once. I didn't know this. I once, in the before times, I worked at a factory, and there was a suggestion box just right outside the break room, and it was also around from the bathrooms. Yeah. And I once was taking a bathroom break, went to the bathroom, and as I walked into the bathroom, I saw the HR lady open up the suggestion box and throw everything in the trash.
No.
Yeah. So, yeah, they didn't care. But we care. I promise.
We do care. Yes.
We do care. If enough churches all request the same thing, that tells our developers, hey, like, it's a big flashing neon sign. We should probably implement this.
It doesn't mean it will be, but it is awesome when we receive suggestions. And that's really what ChurchTrac is based off of. We want to equip you guys to do the work of ministry, right? So we take those seriously.
All right. Gabriel asked, are you going to add cards inside a card, which itself is inside another card on the main page? I should have specified this earlier, Gabriel, so I apologize, and thank you very much for asking this. There's only one, you can only go one layer deep with these additional cards. So you can add a page card to the main page, and you can add cards that appear on that page, and it doesn't go any deeper than that. You can't add a page card to that and then add cards to that and then add a page card and cards to that. Yep. And you can't add cards to anywhere else. It only shows up on the main page or secondary pages as long as those pages appear on the main page. Yes. That's it. That's the only place you can add additional cards.
You don't want it to get too convoluted because it can get really deep of adding these layers of cardception is what I was calling it earlier, because it does. It's too much. So we give you the option to have another way to add calls to actions other than using buttons, and that's only going to be on your page cards. So not on form cards for now, at least. Yeah. But yeah, for page cards.
But thank you, Gabriel, for asking. Richard Cook asked, does the system set the font color based on the background, light, medium, or dark? You actually have control, especially in the header section, like the nav bar, the header section, and the footer section. You have the ability to control the font color.
Yes. And for any one of your body sections, if you click on the text, you should be able to, if Matt's going to go
like
here.
The section options?
No, if you click on the text itself and open the editor, you should see the option. There's a palette there, and you can choose your text color there.
Right, yes.
Now, in other portions of, let's say, the giving, where we have built-in sections, those are actually based off of the background color. So if you choose a background color and it's like pink, like hot pink, the text that we have there that's like auto-responding may not look good in general just because it's not a typical color. So it's things in the program that are kind of built by us, we will have respond, but for this other text, you'll have to set that yourself.
Yep. All right, thank you very much for asking. Kathy, this is actually, I think I have a feeling, I know what's going on. She asked, my Google map is showing up above the footer and is quite large. How can I get it in the footer section? Well, Kathy, what's happened is in your main page, or whatever page that you're referring to, I'm assuming it's your main page, you have added a body section, and there is a template that has a section for like a really big, yeah, there we go. Find us here. Here's a template where we can select that, and it adds a really big map. And that's awesome. Boy, that's, again, big and bold.
Yes.
Big and bold. That's what's up. But that's not the footer. And I know you're wanting to do the footer. You need to scroll down to the footer section and select the Add Content button in the toolbar above the footer and find the footer template. I don't recommend adding the giant
that'll cause issues.
Go to the footer, select the footer tab in the top section of this template page, and then scroll until you find the one with the smaller Google map. Just make sure you do that. If you don't see the option to add content in the footer section, chances are you haven't activated the custom footer option. So toggle that switch on. In fact, I can demonstrate this. It's right there. I'll turn the custom footer off. It'll look like this. You may have edited the footer and added some little customizations there, but just toggle the use custom footer option on, and then add content, use a template, and add that template. Yep. So that's how that would work, Kathy. Thank you very much for asking. Pamela asked, are we able to use the domain of an existing website we already have? Yes.
Great question.
How did I miss that, Michael? Yes. If you have, I feel like an idiot. I can't believe I forgot this. Yes, you can use your own domain. I'm amazed that I forgot that, Michael. Okay. You and I both did. You get a free subdomain, like a free domain with ChurchTrac. But yes, if you have a domain that you already own, you can do what's called domain setup. You find that under Connect Settings. There's a domain setup button in this menu on the left.
And we don't have a keyword, which is the thing we were getting distracted by earlier.
Yeah. So you can take that domain and just add it here to Church Connect. We have step-by-step instructions on how to do that. We also have a user guide article that illustrates, and this guy right here, if you have any trouble, will troubleshoot for you and make sure you're taken care of.
Yeah, so I'm happy to. Just send in a support ticket, and I'd be more than happy to take a look at your domain and help you out if you need.
So Efren, you asked, if we decide that we would like to have you do the website for us, how do we go about doing that? And about how long does that take? Just send a support ticket. Let us know that you want us to build your website, and our support team will give you all the information. We actually there's 3 different levels to that service with different fees for each. So check out the user guide article. Our support team can send that to you so that you can learn exactly how much you're spending and what you're getting out of it. But also, how long, it's a couple weeks?
Yeah, it's a couple weeks. I believe it's 2 week turnaround time. So we have a queue of websites that we build. But yeah, we put you into a queue, and we'd love to build your website for you and work with you and get you on your way.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the Q&A because, Efren, that was the last question. If you have any further questions, reach out to the support team. We would love to help you out. Yes. Also, our Facebook group is a great community with answers and inspiration for building a great Church Connect site. One thing that people do all the time is ask for people to share their Connect site just so that they can have inspiration. Right. People love showing off their Church Connect because they put so much work into it. Yeah. So if you want some inspiration or just some fresh ideas, go to the Facebook group and ask there for people to share that. But I hope that you learned something today and that you got something out of this workshop and that you're able and ready to hit the ground running and build something really beautiful for your website. I pray that God blesses your church, that more people will walk into the doors of your church and hear the good news preached and join your body of Christ. Have a blessed day.
See you.